In 1948, two brothers named Maurice and Richard McDonald started a fast food restaurant called McDonald's. About 70 years later, McDonald's has established itself as the second biggest fast food chain in the entire world with over 38,000 stores as per their latest financial report.
When you want something to really smile about, stop by at McDonald's and say, cheeseburger! Cheeseburger!
To put that into perspective, over the span of 70 years since the inception of its first McDonald's, it has expanded at an average of more than one restaurant per day. And let that sink in for a moment, because we are going to look into the life of the person who accomplished this massive task. You are probably thinking the McDonald's brothers, but it's definitely not them. It is this guy, Ray Kroc. So, what happened?
Making a Happy Meal with Ronald and Friends.
Look at this clown. We have all seen this clown at least once in our life. And if you ever wondered what his name was, it's Ronald McDonald. Nice name, but today's story is not about the clown, rather what it represents, McDonald's. The story dates back to the 1930s. The Great Depression had hit the USA and two brothers, the McDonald's brothers, decided to start a food chain which was on the context of that time. And the most important one was to create cheap food, of course, and then do it fast. But initially they only started as a barbecue joint. They also happened to offer hamburgers at the same time, and that's when Maurice and Richard found something very intriguing. As they were skipping through the sales report, they noticed the majority of the sales were coming through hamburgers at a whopping 80%.
Oh my God!
So, what did they do? They closed their shops. Wait, what? Well, let me explain. You see, they had just realized that the system of their restaurant was not perfect yet, because they planned that if they could somehow lower the waiting time for food, then their profits could simply grow exponentially. But they did not have a system for this, so they created one.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
The Speedy System. Inspired by Henry Ford's assembly line technique, they created a system where they could bring down the waiting time to less than 1 minute. That's right, 1 minute. I'm not gonna go deep into that, but they just brought down the waiting time from 30 minutes to less than 1 minute, and that was it. You order your food and there it is a minute later. And also the catch behind this idea was to shorten the menu to just 9 items: hamburgers, cheeseburgers, 3 soft drinks, milk, coffee, potato chips, and pie. But why shorten the menu? Well, in McDonald's own words, you make a point of offering a choice and you're dead. The speed's gone. Right, the speed was the key and no compromise on that whatsoever. And good for them, because soon their revenue shot up as high as $200,000 a year. And remember, all this happened in the 1950s, so that's some big money. One website says that in today's money value, it's in the ballpark of over $1 million. Right? Now, it was during this time that our protagonist enters the story, Ray Kroc. He basically was a multi-mixer salesman, and in 1954 he got a call that would change his life forever. There was this restaurant which was looking for a huge order of 8 multi-mixes, and it was during that time when that many multi-mixes were unusually high. So Ray was pretty confused about why a restaurant would order that many multi-mixes. So fascinated by this, he visited the original McDonald's store in San Bernardino, California, and that was it. He was immediately hooked into the idea and somehow convinced the brothers to franchise as well.
Franchise. Beg pardon? Franchise. Franchise the damn thing.
So, in 1955, Ray opened his first McDonald's store in Des Plaines, Illinois, and from then, he just continued expanding. It was during this time that Ray's relationship with the brothers grew contentious because he had an agreement with them which hindered his very idea of expansion. And surprisingly, Ray found out a way to force the brothers out. You see, the agreement was totally in context of what would happen inside the store, so Ray took advantage of that. This guy called Harry explained Ray that he could take control of all the franchisees by simply buying the land, which he would then lease to them under strict terms and conditions, which would just force them to abide and play by his rules. And within no time, Ray Kroc had dived deep into the real estate business, gaining complete control of the franchises. And its name was Franchise Realty Corporation. You probably know what happened next. Ray had gotten so big that the brothers had 2 choices: to take Ray to court, which would cost them a fortune, or to give in to Ray's conditions for a buyout. And they basically had no choice and went with the latter. So in 1961, a deal was settled for $2.7 million plus 1% perpetuity of McDonald's profits. Now, here's the catch. 1% perpetuity would today be worth around $100 million a year. Pretty cool deal, isn't it? Well, not exactly. Convincing the brothers that the 1% perpetuity had to be a handshake deal instead of an agreement for some weird technical reasons made sure that Ray would not lose a single dime from his business.
Your 1% cut of future corporate earnings will have to be carried out on a handshake basis.
It's my investor group. The financing is contingent on leaving that out of the contract.
And if you really feel bad for the brothers, how about this? Soon after the acquisition, Ray named himself as the founder of McDonald's, naming the Illinois store which he started in 1955 as the number one. Alright, I've got to say this. Ray may have been the guy behind this huge expansion for what McDonald's is today. Everybody accepts that. But without all the work which the brothers put in to passionately create a new system of food and to change the way of those long waiting times, I'm not sure. Maybe there would be no McDonald's today. I guess that would be weird. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one.